Hello and welcome to the session in which I will answer a very common question that I get all the time. And if I get $1 every time I get this question, I will be a millionaire by now. And that question is, how long do I have to study to pass the CPA exam? So I'm going to be discussing today the 8 factors that, in my opinion, will influence how long you have to study to pass the CPA exam. And the 8 factors are on your screen: education, GPA, time gap, age, experience, international candidate, English as a second language, the CPA review course, and your general academic ability. I'm going to go through each factor separately and explain how does it influence the time that you have to invest in your CPA exam. Before I start, I would like to remind you that if you are a CPA candidate studying for the CPA exam, farhatlectures.com is a supplemental tool, not a review course. It's a tool. So if you have Wiley, Becker, Gleim, Roger, or any other course, you keep those courses. I don't replace them. I can be a useful addition by adding 10 to 15 points to your CPA exam. Now, here's my offer to you. If you are willing to risk 1 month of subscription, here's your risk, here's your loss, $30. What is the output? What's the potential gain? The potential gain is you could pass your CPA exam. Are you willing to make that? Are you willing to make that trade-off? Okay. Now, if not for anything, check out my website to find out how well is your university is doing on the CPA exam, which is a topic I will discuss in this session. Also, check out my LinkedIn account where I have a lot of recommendation from CPA candidate that used my resources and passed the exam. Please like this recording and share it on YouTube. Connect with me on Instagram and Facebook. Let's go ahead and start with the first factor, and the first factor is education. The first thing in education is what matters, how long you study, is whether you went to a double CSB school versus none. What does that mean? Double A CSB schools, those are certain business schools that are accredited by this association. You need to know whether your school is double A CSB or not. If it is, generally speaking, you will study less. It's not you study less because you went to a double A CSB school, because most likely you are prepared more than a person who went to a non-double A CSB school. Now, why do I say so? The reason I can say so because research shows that students that go to double A CSB schools are more likely to pass the exam. It means they are more likely to pass. It means they are more likely to spend less time because they are more prepared. That's the point. Now, if you went to a for-profit proprietary school, what is the for-profit proprietary school? Here we are talking about DeVry, Strayer, Phoenix. Those schools are for-profit proprietary. The pass rate for those schools versus the double A CSB is half. So the double CSB on average 50 to 52% pass. The for-profit proprietary, you were talking about 25%. Therefore, you have to spend more time if you go to these schools because you are not well prepared. How rigorous is your accounting program? How do you know how rigorous is your accounting program? Well, what's on average, how many students pass the CPA exam, and what's the average score from my school? And this is a good indication of how rigorous is your program. Now, how would you know how rigorous is your program? Check out my website, farhatlectures.com. What I have, you can look up your school. You can do a search by school. You can search by state. For example, here, notice the overall pass is all over the place. For example, Alabama State University, the overall pass rate 26.7. Athens State University 30. Auburn University 65.3, Auburn University at Montgomery 62%. So notice the overall pass rate is all over the place, the same as the average course. As I said, you can go to my website, farhatlectures.com, look up your school just to get an idea how rigor or not rigor my school is. So that's the first factor. If you went to a good school, a rigorous school, you are well prepared in college, guess what? You will spend less time. Otherwise, you have to spend more time. Also, going to school, also what matters is your GPA. Are you a 4.0 student? Are you a 2.5? Are you a 3.5 students? That's going to also determine how much are you going to study. If you are well prepared, it means your GPA is 4.0. You might spend less time than somebody who did not study their information in college and now have to make it up. Now, bear in mind the GPA could be inflated. So you might go to a school and you have a 4.0, but it's really meaningless. So also the GPA is an indicator, but it's not, because depending on the school that you went to and depending on the grades. In some schools, the grades are inflated. We all know this. What you need to ask yourself is, how much did you learn? This is what really matters, not your GPA. So if you are well prepared, you learn more in college, you'll spend less time studying for the CPA exam. Even if you have 4.0 and your grade is inflated when it comes to the CPA exam, you have to spend more time. So your GPA along with how much did you really learn. The third factor is time gap, and this is extremely, extremely important. When did you graduate? When did you graduate? When did you graduate from college? How long ago? Was it a month ago? Was it a year ago? Or is it 5 years ago? It makes a difference. Because if you study a month ago, then the information is relatively still fresh in your mind. If you graduated 5 years ago, guess what? You either forgot, you most likely forgot everything that you learned. Even a year ago, you will forget everything that you learned. And by the way, the time gap is also important on the pass rates. Study shows that the longer you wait to take the exam, the higher the probability you are going to fail. It means you are not, there's less likely a chance you are going to pass versus somebody who is a recent graduate. This is what study shows. And this makes sense. Let's assume I taught you something today, okay? And if I tested you tomorrow, you will remember it better. If I tested you a week from now, you will remember less of it. If I tested you a month or a year from now, you are going to forget most of it. So time gap is important. Simply put, the earlier you can sit for the exam, the better off you are as a student. Okay, age. This is a double-edged sword. It could work with you, it could work against you. What do I mean by this? As we age, we might have more maturity. If we are more mature, we could be more motivated to learn. That's the good news. The bad news is, as we age, for people like myself, we find hard time absorbing the information than someone who's younger. So the age is double-edged, and I don't believe there's any studies that shows, the effect of age on the CPA exam. But again, it could work for you, it could work against you. Experience. If you have experience in the real world, especially in public accounting. For example, if you have experience in tax, you have 2 years of tax experience in a public accounting firm, well, regulation will be an easy part for you, especially the DRS, the document review simulation. If you are an auditor, the audit exam will be easy for you. If you work in financial reporting, FAR will be easy for you. So experience matters. So I cannot say two students are the same, because if one students don't have any experience, then they will have to spend more time on each section. If students will have experience, then they will spend less time on each section. So experience does matter as well. The more experience, most likely, especially in a particular topic, the less time you will spend on that particular topic. If you are an international candidate, they are not familiar with the U.S. accounting, tax, and auditing standard, generally speaking, because they did not attend a U.S. school. What's going to happen? As a result, they will need more time. It doesn't mean that they will not do good on the exam. They will not pass the exam. I'm not sure if there's any influence on the pass rate or score, but the point is, you will need more time. And just case in point, for example, a country like Lebanon, they have the highest pass rate internationally and the highest average score, which is the pass rate in the US around 50. It's above the US average, but in the US we have certain schools that have a pass rate of 90% plus. But this is really a good rate for international candidate. For example, Lebanon was number 1 in 2018. The average score for everything was 75.8. So international candidate, generally speaking, will spend more time studying, and that's because they did not study the U.S. accounting system. Therefore, they have to study the system plus prepare for the exam. So this should make sense. Also, English as a second language, even if you are a U.S. candidate. If English is your second language, you might have to put more time studying for the exam. That doesn't influence your pass rate. So listen to me carefully. English as a second language. I am English as a second language person, okay? So it doesn't mean you don't pass. It means you might have to put more time. And in case in point, if you listen to the lecturers, like if you're taking Becker, if you're listening to Peter Alenta, or if you're listening to Roger, or if you're listening to Wiley, they might reference certain cultural things in the US you may not understand. You might need to research. So that's why you'll need more time to understand those concepts. So that's all what I'm saying. English as a second language. I am English as a second language, so I can talk about this, okay? So there's no influence on the pass rate, but it does influence how much time you might have to put to understand the material. Your CPA review course, different CPA review course condense the information differently. So certain courses are more condensed than others. What does it mean more condensed? It means they give you the information in very short pieces. That's the nature of the course. It doesn't mean it's a better course than the other course. And I don't believe, by the way, just talking about CPA review courses, I don't believe in those quick quick, super fast passing or anything like that, okay? I don't believe in that. For the exam, you really have to learn the material. The software can detect whether you really know the material or not. But certain courses, they go faster than others, and that will influence how long you have to study, okay? So it only influences how long you have to study. It doesn't influence your pass rate, okay? So again, I'm not picking any course in particular, but you have to understand different courses will deliver the information differently. I am not a full CPA review course. I teach you the material. Therefore, don't compare me to a CPA review course. You'll be comparing apples and oranges. I teach you the material. Then if you learn my material, then you should go with the most condensed course, because if you learn it, you want to go with the fastest course. Okay? But if you don't know the material and they condensed it for you, it's not good. It's not good. So that will influence how long you have to study. Also, your general academic ability. Okay, now I'm doing like what Roger Phillips, I'm sure everybody knows who Sheldon is. I'm pretty sure we know who Sheldon is these days. How fast do you learn or absorb the information? Okay, for example, if you are Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory, it will take you 1 week to pass all 4 sections of the exam. Okay, are you Sheldon? No, the average CPA candidate is not Sheldon. The average CPA candidate is an average, on average is an average student. Okay, they're not Sheldon, and they don't have an IQ of low IQ. They have an average IQ. And by the way, I don't think the IQ matters. What matters is if you put the time, invest the time to study for the exam. So the average CPA candidate is not Sheldon. Therefore, there's a variation in academic ability. So when a student asks me, how long do I have to study? I don't know. There are many factors that could influence that. One of them is your general academic ability. I don't know that. Okay? I'm not implying let me make something clear here. I'm not implying that your academic ability will influence your CPA exam pass rate. You may not have a good academic ability. I would say I don't have a general academic ability. It takes me a little bit longer to learn something, but once I learn it, I'm good. Also, it doesn't influence your success in the real world. In the real world, what matters is how hard do you work. Are you willing to roll up your sleeves, work hard, and get the work done? Therefore, that's another major factor in influencing how long does it take you to study. And these are the 8 factors. Do you think there's any other factors, okay, that will influence how long you have to study? And here's what I want you to be aware of. Don't let a CPA review course or a CPA program or a coach or a mentor box you into a specific time. Take the time that you need. Study as much as you need to learn the material so you can pass the exam. This is not a marathon. You're not trying to get there as soon as possible. You need to pass, okay? You need to pass. So even if it takes you a little bit longer to pass, as long as you pass, that's good, because once you pass, you only have to do it once. So you don't have to do it fast. You have to do it once. So take your time. Do it properly. How can I help you? How can Farhat Lectures help you? I can help you learn the material, okay? I cannot sell you, go to Farhat Lectures and you will be able to study less or fast or pass in 20 days or anything like that. I like those ads, but I don't believe they work. It just ads are ads. Somebody trying to tell you, I can help you super fast pass the exam. Yeah, okay, good luck with that. Learn the material, take your time, and this is all what I can do for you. How fast can you learn the material from me? It's up to you. Many factors, all the factors that I mentioned will also influence how fast you would learn the information from me. So, learn the material if you haven't learned it in college, or if you need additional help to learn it from me. Get your CPA review course, pass the exam, invest in yourself, go out there, conquer the world. But as you're doing that, please be careful, because we are still going through this coronavirus. Study hard, good luck, and once again, stay safe.